In the Interruption, but I'm Pablo Torre, and there is no one else I'd rather host this show with than you, Tony.
I'm Frank Isola. Tony abandoned you. Deal with it, kid. He ain't here.
This is
I was a late sub.
tough to discover.
Like Mikel Marino, I was a late sub. Hopefully I'll come on and score like he did.
Oh, jeez.
Little soccer ball.
Remind me of him. Young, athletic.
I wish.
Yeah, off the bench.
Well, I was waiting.
Kelleher's favorite.
I was waiting for the word good looking. You didn't include that.
Strong jawline.
There you go. There you go. Welcome to PTI. Mike and Tony are off on a yoga retreat. So I'm joined by my good friend from the podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, Mr. Pablo Torre, everyone. They must be Belgium fans. All right, let's start today with the World Cup. Spain scored in the first half against Belgium, then surrendered a goal for the first time in the tournament, and it stayed 1-1 until the final minutes when Spain scored on a rebound. So Spain advances to the semis, where they'll face Kylian Mbappe and France. That is a dream matchup. And we've got Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, and Lionel Messi all on the field tomorrow. So, Pablo, where do you want to start?
I want to start with the fact that this tournament field is the biggest there's ever been, right? 48 teams, and yet at the very end, it's as if this was exactly how you wanted it to go.
Yep.
You have, by the way, in Belgium, I wonder if Christian Pulisic just feels a little bit better about any of this, because look at what Belgium just did to Spain, right? Took them to the wire. America, hey, maybe straighten up your spine just a little bit. But to me, I'm looking at England, I'm looking at Norway. And I'm looking at the idea that Erling Haaland is going to walk out there at 25 years old, was born in England, and he gets to be, if there's anybody who's going to come out of this with their Q rating in America just jacked all the way up, because Messi's already so up there, and of course, Haaland is himself literally enormous. But I think that likability and that skill and that skull and all these goals he scored, I'm focusing mostly right there for this semifinal.
I love when you said this, when 48 teams, but the teams that you would expect. Are you saying that's the team that FIFA wanted, or the teams you would expect? Because it does seem
quite convenient.
It does seem like that. All right, first of all, let's give Belgium a lot of credit, because Spain hadn't been scored upon. So De Ketelaere, the guy that scored the 2 goals against the U.S. on Monday, he got the equalizer late in the first half. That was a great showing by Belgium. Their goalkeeper, Thibaut Courtois, had to come out of the match. His replacement gives up the rebound. And then the player, Mikel Marino, who plays for Arsenal, has a habit of doing this. He scored. So that's heartbreaking for Belgium. But we are getting a dream matchup now between France and Spain, who a lot of people think were the 2 best teams going into the tournament.
Yes.
Now, as for the other side of the bracket, you're so right, though, about Holland and Norway with Erling Haaland against England with Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. Haaland plays over in England in the Premier League for Man City. He knows a lot of these players. He'll be going up against some of his teammates in the game on Sunday. Tomorrow. I was there over the weekend and watched what he did to Brazil. And this is what you love about Erling Haaland. Gabriel and Marquinhos are 2 of the best center backs in the world, and he threw them around like they were rag dolls. He has just been the most dominant player in the tournament. He's becoming a bigger star. You see him on social media. It looks like he's having a grand old time. He gets it. He performs on the field. Off the field, he's great with kids. He's having fun with different foods that he's eating, engagement with the fans. So that part I love. The winner of that will get the winner of Argentina, Switzerland. Nobody's mentioned Switzerland yet. Who knows if they'll spoil the party. But I'll say this about Argentina with Messi. Those players around him, they are as tough as nails. And they were down 2-0 late to Egypt, and they scored 3 goals in 11, 12 minutes, whatever it was, to win it. And they'll be a tough out. I feel like they're hanging on by a thread, Pablo. So I do think they're vulnerable. I think the winner of Norway-England gets to the final.
Yeah, the Argentina story is so interesting, too, because it reminds me a bit of when you saw the Dream Team in the 92 Olympics, because all these guys, they play Michael Jordan, and then, of course, you have Instagram now. Yep. They're taking photos and posting it with Messi, like the shot that they're in together. That's the kind of historical figure that they're dealing with. But I want to move on to the present here. At Wimbledon in England, because the men's semis over in the tennis had dramatic storylines heading into today's matches. You had a second-seeded Goliath and Alexander Zverev facing the wild-card David and Arthur Ferry, and you had top-ranked and defending champ Jannik Sinner facing a man 15 years his senior, the 7-time champ Novak Djokovic. But the action was pretty anticlimactic in the end, as Zverev and Sinner both won in straight sets, and so Frank, your takeaway from who won and how these matches actually played out.
Yeah, we didn't get a day like we had yesterday with Mahova and the Coco Gauff, that semifinal. Straight sets for both winners today. Zverev, it's interesting. If you go back to 2022 when he lost to Nadal in the semifinals, remember he broke his ankle in the semifinals, and he was out for a while. And then going into the French Open this year, he held the title of the best player on tour to never win a major. Well, he wins the French. Now he's one match away from winning Wimbledon as well. And we haven't seen a German win it. Boris Becker, I think, won it 3 times in the 80s. Then Michael Stich, who I used to love when Bud Collins would call him a Stich figure because of his long, lean frame. But Novak Djokovic against Sinner. Sinner, since falling behind 2-1 in the first round, has won 17 straight sets, so he's been dominant. But I'll say this about Novak Djokovic. If you go all the way back to 91, when Pablo Torre was a little kid, Jimmy Connors made an unbelievable run to the semifinals of the U.S. Open, and he was 39. It was treated like the greatest thing we've ever seen. Djokovic does it, and nobody thinks that it's that big of a deal. I mean, it's still impressive that he could perform at a high level. The problem is, after playing 5 sets in his previous match in the quarterfinals, 3 of the sets went to a tiebreaker. He's just not good enough anymore to get past that and win a semis and win a final of a major.
I was 6 years old when Jimmy Connors was doing that. I am 40 years old watching Novak Djokovic look every piece of his 39 years.
You're right.
He played 5 hours and 15 minutes before, and in this one, he said after the match, he was more explosive, he was more reactive, he was better than me, and that is both, I think, the exhaustion you allude to and also just the age difference. And this is the opportunity in front of Jannik Sinner now, right? Alcaraz isn't here. Alcaraz is hurt.
Right.
Novak Djokovic, just described. And so he is 10-4 against Zverev. He's won 9 in a row. This feels like it's all there for Sinner to claim, and if he doesn't, that's a real squandered opportunity for a guy who is clearly right now the number one in a, I don't know, maybe a 4-man race as you put Djokovic right there at the 4th spot and Zverev at the 3, but it's right there for him to win.
That's a great stat. So Sinner 10-4 against Zverev, and he's won the last 9. That's pretty impressive. And Sinner's Italian, if you didn't know. All right, and now to the NBA.
But who's counting?
The NBA's cap circumvention investigation into the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard. The Raptors said yesterday they want to know what NBA punishment might be before finalizing their trade for Kawhi after the league told them they'd be on the hook for it. Pablo, you broke the original story way back when and won a Pulitzer Prize for it. What questions does all this raise in your mind?
One question is how differently the Clippers and the Raptors feel about this frozen trade. Because the Clippers come out here with 5 paragraphs, and they are saying, basically, we're innocent. This is a story about Joe Sandberg, the co-founder of Aspiration. This is a deal that we were informed later the Raptors need to be on the hook for in terms of any punishments to Kawhi's contract. They're trying to get this thing done ASAP because they would bear none of the penalties once Kawhi is out of their actual financial cap situation. And also, they got pretty good value from the Raptors. But the Raptors, on the other hand, Frank, keep in mind this. The Raptors are the ones who went to the league in 2019, and they said, hey, you should know what this guy, Uncle Dennis Robertson, was requesting of us that we wouldn't give. Which is all to say that what I can tell you, according to my reporting, is that the Raptors are acutely aware of all of the fire backstage, and we're only seeing the smoke right now around Kawhi Leonard. And so for them, they are the ones who don't want to finalize this trade because they are saying it is plausible that something might happen. Something might happen, and that risk alone, because they know it's grounded in a real, again, over 10 months, my reporting, and 2019, their own report, they know it's grounded in a real problem. And so the Raptors are good to wait. The Clippers, it's very interesting that they are not quite so patient, and they came out public with this with real force.
Yeah, I think I interviewed you the day after you broke the story, and I think we both thought maybe within 6 weeks the whole thing would be wrapped up. We were wrong. we ended up being wrong about that. All right, just to recap here, Kawhi was traded to Toronto. It was Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 second-round picks. I think the Clippers made out in the deal. And I think what Toronto was saying, here's what could happen. Here's a plausible scenario. You tell me if I'm wrong. The league determines that Kawhi Leonard, you know what? You're going to be suspended, throw out a number, 20, 30, 41 games. Deep down, the Raptors are going to say, well, this is great. He's only going to play probably 60 games anyway, and now we don't have to pay him for those 20 or 30 games he's going to be out. But hold on a second. we're not giving you all those first-round picks.
Exactly.
So I think for Toronto, I think the Clippers have won the trade. That sounds like a home run for them. But don't you think Toronto right now is in the driver's seat? Because Toronto, the Clippers want the trade to happen. Toronto's saying, all right, it'll happen, but we may amend this trade a little bit. How about that?
I saw in the Raptors statement 3 sentences to the Clippers' 5 paragraphs, and they're complaining about this, basically. You're totally right. Bobby Webster, the GM of the Raptors, he can say to himself, hey, I'm going to get a better deal if there's a punishment.
That's right.
And we haven't agreed to it yet, so they're going to have to come back to the table with us. And I think that is the untold story about what might happen next.
And the statement, I don't know if it was from the league or from the Raptors, talked about weeks. Like, this is going to drag on.
Oh, yeah, the league.
So
the
we
league,
could be talking.
go.
So what are we talking now? September, when right at the end of September is when training camp starts. They're really going to let it drag on that long.
Take the over. Yeah.
Well, you would know. You've been all over it. All right, let's take a break. But coming up, the top 2 picks from this year's NBA draft dueled last night. Who had the better performance?
And will LeBron James choose his next team soon, or will he keep the NBA world in suspense? I think that means that toss-up is next.
He's going to decide within 5 minutes, so we can go live with it. How about that? It's time to do some A/B testing and toss-up. What's first?
Toss-up, more notable performance last night. A.J. DeBanza or Darren Peterson?
All right, this is a good tradition that they have in Las Vegas. The number 1 overall pick, A.J. DeBanza of the Washington Wizards. The number 2 overall pick, Darren Peterson. They met last night. First night of the Vegas Summer League. For those keeping score at home, 27 points in 26 minutes for A.J. DeBanza. Did leave the game late with cramping. Darren Peterson, 24 points. 8 turnovers, 9 fouls. They allow you to have 10. He used 9 of them, Pablo. I'll give this one to A.J. DeBanza because when you're the number 1 overall pick, all eyes are on you. It was the first time that he played. Darren Peterson already played a couple of games. You know, his new teammates, Trae Young, Anthony Davis. How about that? Where is Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
He's sitting courtside in Las Vegas. It wasn't as notable. I still remember going to see Greg Oden and Kevin Durant a million years ago. And then a couple of years ago, Victor Wembanyama. Remember the night before, that little thing with Britney Spears when she went up to him in the hotel, and that caused a bit of a stir? And Victor was not great his first game. Everybody thought, oh, what's all the hype about? AJ was pretty impressive. He's a young kid, but that is a legit player that the Wizards got. I'll give it to him last night. First time out, I thought he played well.
I like how you went Britney Spears instead of where I was going, which was Anthony Randolph. Remember when Anthony Randolph dropped 42 in Summer League?
Golden State Warriors.
Remember when Josh Selby looked like he was going to be a star? I mean, Summer League is full of these characters. Of course, these 2 guys are not, mirages in the desert. They're the actual stars we're there to see, the future stars at least. I'm going to say Darren Peterson, and I say it for this reason. I just like the idea that Darren Peterson, when he talks, he's still kind of talking to Bill Self.
Yes.
He's still sending messages. He's talking about how he didn't have fun at Kansas after the game. Yeah. And I'm like, this is messy in ways that we don't need anymore. You're in the NBA, dude. We're not really thinking about the Kansas Jayhawks, and yet he keeps on bringing them back, which gives me, as a guy who's in favor of content, gives me great hope, Frank. That someone who's going to keep making a mountain out of a thing that is so in the rear view is going to give us gifts as we cover him as a pro.
Did you like that they were experimenting with the 1 free throw? If you got fouled shooting, instead of going... listen, for Summer League, it's great.
G League
because they bring in new refs and they're trying to make their mark. The games take forever. I liked it. Did you like it?
I like in the honor of soccer, I like a quicker game. Yes.
Bang. All right, what's next?
Toss-up, what do you expect LeBron to do with his free agency decision? Decide soon or drag it out?
Wait. I think it's being dragged out already. I guess there was a quote where they said it could be a couple of weeks. I mean, what are we doing here? All right, so a few things about LeBron. Shams reported, and this is an actual real report, that team executives are recording voice messages to send to LeBron. The idea that the Godfather himself, Pat Riley, first of all, someone's going to have to do it for him, and he's going to record a message. How many takes will it be to convince LeBron? It's absurd. LeBron's a great player, but why are we going down this road? If you have a question, just call the teams up. So that part of it is absurd. But Pablo, I still say, because the World Cup is here in the States, he loves the idea that all the great players, it was Ronaldo till he went home, Messi and Mbappe, they turn on the TV, and what's everybody talking about, including this show? The future of 41-year-old LeBron James. He's dragging this thing out definitely until next week when the World Cup gets to the semifinals and the finals.
You see what's happening at the World Cup final with Johnny Infantino, what happened with Roger Clemens in George's box. Remember
Bang.
Susan Waldman?
Yeah.
The Rock, he's in George's box.
John Brenner's box.
Oh, my God. So I love that. I love the idea of that. Of course, take the over on all of this.
Yeah.
And you know to take the over, not just because you're hearing it from the guy who's made 11 episodes out of one single NBA investigation. You know it because LeBron is already having us subscribe to his agent's podcast, which cannot stop talking about this. Every day there's more. We had a whiteboard. We got the voice notes. We had Bob Myers in studio with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul. Look, he's very good at generating coverage. I don't know if he's as good at generating mystery, at least around how long this is going to take. I would take the over on all of this because you get more LeBron that way, and that's kind of the ultimate goal.
He was photographed golfing with Draymond Green in Puerto Rico. I'm surprised that you weren't invited on that trip.
It hurt.
I still think Warriors, but I got to be honest with you. The more and more you hear, it sounds like Cleveland is a legitimate suitor for LeBron. I still say he's going to join Steph Curry and Draymond. We'll see what happens. All right, that's it. We all know who won that round. Let's take one last break. When we come back, Scottie Scheffler does something he hasn't done in nearly 4 years.
And Wemby posts a cryptic tweet of his own. Talk about what it might mean.
Was the tweet, "Leave me alone, Britney Spears"?
I cannot believe that I forgot about that.
Yeah. His security guard had to say, "What are you doing?" She tapped him in the back.
Not quite a boy, not quite a full-grown center.